team has disappointed, which team Nagelsmann is able to get this out of the players at his disposal. I only get angry because of the flag that you see behind me, because we have like an idiotic shithole manager who cannot even get the best out of the players who are there. So just makes me envy what a decent coach could do to a decent team.
So, Casimir, if you move on to the next topic, which is team that
Yeah,
has
Which is
team,
disappointed,
yeah.
team.
Nice
Well,
I
segue.
can
I want
actually, I can actually pick up from where you just left off.
yeah. The next topic is of course team that has disappointed, which by my flag you all already know the answer.
I think
So
all
yeah.
four of us will unanimously agree to this, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, easily.
Yeah.
The
I
only
think
Yeah, go
other
ahead.
contender for me for this particular post is again a very good team playing under somewhat below average coach in Belgium. So I really don't understand how these national teams fall for these tricks. Belgium moved on from Bob Martinez, and guess where they are now. So it's like
I think
taking one
even
step forward and
Portugal
two backward.
have been disappointing.
Oh, Portugal got Bob Martinez. I mean,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
oh my god,
No. At
ridiculous
times,
was
at
that.
times, at times, Belgium makes me wonder whether FIFA rankings is a scam, because how can they be like world number one or world number three and lose to like 48 ranked team at times? Like they have been world number one for 4 or 5 years without winning a single trophy. Like trophies must mean something, right? You cannot just win all the friendlies and become world number one. Yeah, Belgium
Yeah.
disappointed, and Portugal, of course. Portugal, in for me, the two teams that mainly disappointed was England and Portugal. England, of course, the reason is the initial 30 minutes that they played till they scored the goal. It was probably some of the best football that I have seen under Southgate. At a certain amount of time, England had 90% possession of the ball, which I have never seen in a footballing game, that too by Southgate. So after the goal, they immediately decided to go into a low block, which I completely could not understand the reason why, because they still had the same players and they still had 60 minutes that they could play for, and they just went into a low block after that and allowed Serbia to play. Serbia was missing the killer pass, because of which they couldn't get the goal. But yeah, it was a very disappointing display after the goal that they scored. Bellingham played an amazing game as always. He just shows that he's the clutch player that England needs right now, and he could be possibly Wayne Rooney's reincarnation for this Euros. So let's just see. Hope he's able to have a good Euros. And again, another thing is all the system players under Pep, they have started failing. You'll see Foden looking a shadow of the player he is right now. He is playing on the left wing, which he has played for City many times over the course of the year, but I don't understand why we have to defend. Of course, we need to find a way to bring the best out of him, but it cannot be a case that the team has to be completely changed, where Bellingham has to be pushed backward, Foden goes into the center, and Gordon goes to the right. I don't know if Southgate might be like that aggressive to bring back Bellingham when Bellingham gets that free floater role or that freedom here. And apart from this, another team that disappointed for me mainly was Portugal, who are still stuck in the Cristiano Ronaldo era for whatever, I don't know why. Like they
I
had,
just wanted to ask you because we talked about Bruno previously. How did you
yeah,
like Bruno being played as a
Bruno.
deep?
The issue for me is Bruno could have easily got two assists if Ronaldo could have finished his
Mm.
chances. And I'm so irritated that we have to start with Ronaldo every single game, just to ensure that he is able to hit his international appearances record or hit his goal tally. Like you cannot sacrifice a tournament purely for Ronaldo's whims this year. And it just feels like this Euros is probably like the West Indies tour that they had for Sachin's retirement. It is very similar. Like do something, but at least win the tournament. If you're not going to win it, he will play again. But the issue is he'll wait till the next World Cup, which is happening in US, where he cannot enter. So you rather win it than him playing another World Cup or destroying Portugal's chances in the future.
It's also not a topic that a lot of Real Madrid or Portugal fans would like to uh, listen as to why Ronaldo cannot enter United States. So
Yeah.
that's not really. It's not.
Yeah.
That's so fair.
Yeah.
The- yeah, for me, the team which disappointed me the most was like everyone's favorite, I guess, France. So for me, that much was worse than England match because with England, it's just hopeless, right? Like every time we fall into the same trap, we believe something's going to happen. England, nothing's going to happen. At least with France, we know that they'll push for something. But then it was like in it like what to say? If not for that own goal, I don't think France would have ever scored. because they were not in the mood to score any goals. So like Kylian Mbappe was absolute sitters, and the whole team was like, you have like this Real Madrid Champions League winning stars like Kamavinga and so many, and you are just benching them. What is the then what is the point of having this talent factory? I understand like Kante. I have no issues with Kante being playing there, but at least he would have either played Kamavinga or so many instead of Adrian Rabiot. I feel like they are just wasting like the prime talents of all these guys who are coming in supreme confidence after winning like a Champions League. So that was very disappointing. Obviously, would have known that like Kylian Mbappe got injured. I don't think he'll play in the next few group matches, I guess. So I really want to see what they're going to do now because I feel like I felt like this was the tournament since Real Madrid signed him. So I felt like this was the tournament for him to get it just get the Euros and go into Real Madrid as a star. And now since this happened, I really want to see where the mindset of France
I think
stands at this
I
point.
think Mbappe will only miss one game if I'm not wrong. I think he'll miss the
Yeah, he's
next
just
group
missing
game,
the Netherlands
and
game.
Okay, cool.
yeah,
One.
I think he'll play afterwards wearing the ninja mask,
That
the
yeah, okay.
turtle mask.
Mm.
I just want to add on
But
to what
I think
Karthik was saying. I think the issue with France is not a lack of talent; it is the unwillingness of Deschamps to change
Yeah,
what has been a very successful formula for him. He has stuck to the method that has won him one Euro and a World Cup and another World Cup final. So can't really blame him for trusting his well and familiar
that is.
system. Yeah, so what he does is even I still think the very first World Cup itself he went with four centre backs as fullbacks as well. He had not
Pavard,
Rio Hernandez, his brother Hernandez on
Lucas
the
and
left,
Pavard on
Lucas
the
Hernandez
Lucas.
Pavard,
and Pavard on the right.
Pavard
This
on the
time
right.
around he has Koundé on the right and Rio Hernandez on the left. He wanted Kante in midfield. He got Kante in midfield. By the way, extremely crazy good performance from Kante
Yeah,
at that age. So no issues, no qualms with putting Kante in there if he
can't yeah.
keeps performing like that. But then again, alongside Kante, he always had in the previous campaigns he had a typical number eight. But the problem was that back then he had Paul Pogba, who
Yeah.
I mean, if not for his personal life and decisions and other such, ridiculously talented footballer. I don't think anyone among us would disagree.
Yeah.
So he's just trying to replicate that. So he's replacing a number eight with another number eight. The only difference being Pogba's one leg is better than Adrian Rabiot as a player. So
Yeah.
small difference in quality. And
For
I
sure.
think because of that very stubborn approach from Deschamps to stick to what has worked for him, a few key players. I would say our player Malo Gusto, he had a wonderful season in PL despite where we finished. I think he merited a shout out to be included in the fan squad.
Yeah.
Because Kunde is not exactly a complete right back. He has his strengths. He can defend in air, but going forward, Gusto is an entirely different ballgame. So he's not even considered in the squad. And up front, you have Dembele and Mbappe, and also the only constant from the previous campaigns is and
Griezmann.
the very well merited presence is Griezmann. So
Griezmann,
given the
yeah.
campaign that he's at, so that's the thing. So most of the players who Deschamps wants to play, they deserve their places, but he's just sticking to the same methods, and the other sports he's just filling it up with different players. So he's trying to replace a Paul Pogba with a Rabiot, and he's trying to replace somebody like Payet with a Dembele. So there is always that difference in class, and I think that's where France are lacking. So Deschamps,
Yeah.
it might be a welcome change for France once Deschamps, after his incredibly successful managerial reign, decides to move on because there has
I
to be
think
some.
Zidane is waiting for Deschamps to
Yes,
leave
yes,
so
yes.
that he can
Yeah.
go and manage France. In my opinion, like he's just waiting
Yeah.
in line and not accepting any club roles just for this.
I think that would be a
Yeah.
very welcome change for French national team and their supporters as well. No disrespect to Deschamps, he's delivered, but he's unwilling to evolve or adapt.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
not just France played bad, but Austria was actually good in that
Yeah.
match as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we have to give props to Austria as well. Austria played very well, and Ragnik again showing why United is always at the wrong, because he is able to get the tune out of the players in Austria as well. So it was a very good performance by Austria. Sabitzer played like a beast in that team again. So yeah,
They forced a couple of mistakes from France. I also saw this 23-second clip on Twitter where they showed the mistakes made by Upamecano within those 20 seconds. First, he
Yeah.
loses the ball, giving a really sloppy pass. Then he moves out of possession. Thankfully, Kante was covering in for him. But then this is such a disgusting and lackadaisical way to defend. I'm just sick and tired of that guy starting for France week in and week out. There are much better players like Konate who are, I mean, although he's just recovered from an illness, who deserve to start. So yeah, let's see. I hope this guy should be kicked out of the team and they should bring in someone like Lenny or to fill in for him, or say even a Jean-Claude Todibo, some player like that. Because see, Upamecano, he'll put in those slight tackles and sometimes it may come off as really good interceptions or stuff like that. But then his elementary defending is so poor. Even if you recall the World Cup final against Argentina, when Argentina scored their second goal, he was brought
Yeah.
out of position by Messi, and he so Messi basically laid a trap for Upamecano, and he fell for it also, which allowed McAllister to run down their right hand side and put him across for Di Maria to score. So yeah, Upamecano is one of the most error-prone defenders I've ever seen in modern football, and Deschamps needs to reconsider his decision to start him.
I
So
think
yeah,
I think Saliba and Konate should be starting over
absolutely,
Upamecano.
absolutely.
Saliba and
Yeah,
Given the
yeah,
Konate.
yeah.
option, yes. Given the options, yes. But then
Yeah.
even Saliba wasn't that great as a lot of Arsenal fans would be speaking on Twitter. There were two moments where Saliba was actually bailed out by
Yes.
Kante,
number one
yeah.
Conte and
Okay.
one was Maignan. So yeah,
Yeah.
Saliba also needs to concentrate a bit more if France have to
I
like.
think one reason why Saliba will carry on playing ahead of Upamecano is the supreme level of ability that he brings on the ball. I don't think I
True.
can really
Mm.
question it. So his
Yeah.
Not
passing is
just on
very
the ball,
tidy,
not just on the ball. Even his recovery is quite good. Like he
quite
on
good.
Mm.
pace,
Yes,
He's fast.
on
He's
pace,
he's
fast.
it's
good. He's
very
fast.
difficult to beat him.
Yeah, yeah. So Saliba has enormous potential as a defender. I mean, so let's all accept that Arsenal fans can get a bit deluded and
Yeah.
tend to get carried away. They've already started comparing him with Ferdinand and Terry. Let's not go there. But I think Saliba, in his own right, has a lot of potential, and his passing is quite expansive for a player that young with that level of experience playing in this level. So I think Saliba should stay on, and like Arvind correctly mentioned, somebody much more physical, faster, reliable defensive presence like a Jean-Claire Todibo or a Konate would make much more sense than starting Upamecano.
Even moving Kunde to the centre back is a good option. I don't think why
Yep.
Kunde could not play centre back. He can easily play
Yeah.
centre back and
Yeah.
play Klaus as the right back given a choice
Yep.
rather than
Yep.
just
Yeah.
wasting Kunde at a right back position. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
the, the whole disappointment from France is coming from the fact that they have so much untapped potential in every position. Literally, they have like three genuinely good players on each position, and they are not properly using. That's the worry as a fan. Like when you see from the outside, is that they
at
have
least
so many potential. Like that's what if Zidane comes, I guess Zidane will properly start analyzing. Like will show the world how really good this France team is, and if they actually use like this proper players, I don't think anyone even can come to close to France because they have so much potential in all the positions. That's what the disappointing part. It's not
at
about the
least
performance as such. Yeah.
at least
Yes.
France has some trophy to show that they are disappointed. Me as an England fan, like for us, if we go toe to toe with France, we can easily beat them. Okay, like player to player, if you look, England and France are the strongest in the Euros, even in the last World Cup. But see, at least France
You
has some
have
silverware to show.
Gareth Southgate as a coach. So, Casemiro, I'll just take my turn
Yeah,
now about the team as a
sure.
disappointment. And
Yeah.
it's very clear it's England. And I'll tell you exactly why. It's not, like you correctly mentioned, I think England had a very solid start to the Euro, which was quite unusual from a Southgate team to play on the front foot and dominate like that. But even then, it was a slightly skewed dominance towards the right side. So I think Southgate is kind of erring by not playing a natural right footer in attack in the wings, an Anthony Gordon or an Ebrechi Eze. I'm not saying either Gordon or Eze is a better player than either Saka or Foden. I mean, Saka and Foden on any day are better players than Eze and Gordon. But when you have a player like Trippier, who is a right-footed player playing as a left back, you actually need somebody on the wing who can take the ball on the outside, challenge the fullback one-on-one, or cut it inside. Because Trippier, he really relies on his passing ability to create an attack. So Trippier is not going to run down the flank, stretch the plane, go all the way to the corner flag and whip in crosses from there. That's not his game. He stays in the half spaces just ahead of midfield. He whips in the in-swingers, and that is how he does the attack. Now what happens is you have either Foden or Saka playing on the right side, and they tend to go the opposite way, and that really lacks. There is no real chemistry on that way. What ideally Southgate could have done is trust a player, a youngster like Eze or
Gordon.
Gordon, to play the proper left wing role and make a choice. Either choose Foden, choose Saka. You also have Palmer, you have Bowen, so they have an abundance of left footers. Choose a left footer, have the courage to bin one of them, because all three of them are supremely talented players, Saka, Foden, or Palmer, and then play to a proper system. Use Kane. I think one major disappointing factor again, Kane is one of the best on the ball strikers that we have recently seen in modern football. So people say Kane is a great finisher. He scores a lot of goals, but apart from being a finisher, Kane is one of the best strikers when it comes to linking up, taking the ball deep, and building up that Kane-Son relationship that Karthik might have, might remember with a smile on his face. That really shows how good an on-the-ball striker Kane is. And Kane had two touches, if I believe, of the
Yeah,
ball in the first half. So terribly underutilizing a player like Kane. Now Bellingham, he plays really well, but Bellingham is not that player. Who Bellingham is more of an off-the-ball player in attack than an on-the-ball, guile class carrier. He can actually use somebody like Palmer in behind Kane to have that, because Palmer, although he can play left wing, he also has that very long, sleek, elegant style of play to him. He's a very
He cannot
disciplined.
he cannot he cannot bring players into the game if he's playing on the left Palmer. So
Palmer, yeah. So you
mm,
play him
that's the
behind
issue.
Kane, and you play him behind Kane, and you have two players who are extremely good at linking up in tight spaces to create places. So you have that option, or else you can just bench Palmer and Foden and just play Saka with Bellingham through the middle and Gordon or Esse on the right. That also makes sense. But I think Southgate went with a mix of all these ideas, and at the end, criminally underutilized the potential of these players, especially Kane, Saka, and Palmer. And Palmer wasn't even started. Now,
and
another the second problem is the approach that you mentioned. They take a one goal lead, they withdraw into a low block. Serbia had couple half chances that did not get converted into proper chances because they don't exactly have the biggest players in terms of quality of final delivery. Now, what happened afterwards in the second half, the substitutes that he made, he brings on Mainu and he brings on Gallagher. So Mainu is a class player on the ball. He's primarily a dictator. He carries the ball, and that is his primary strength. Gallagher's primary strength is his ability to choke the opposition. Gallagher's work rate is heralded, and in a team like Crystal Palace, you can use it to defend narrow leads, like he was doing on his stint on loan. But in a top side, so I'm not calling ourselves a top side after having finished 16 PL, but the primary way we use Gallagher on our, at least for Chelsea's team, is to choke the opposition up front, because we have a player who can press up front, who can carry the team's press to the opposition. And if at all there is a turnover or if you need to defend, he can also run back and defend. So that is how you primarily use Gallagher as an
It is
aggressor.
basic. It is basically to cause havoc to the opposite team
Opposition, yes.
on the ball.
You
Yeah.
chalk the opposition on the ball. You chalk out their position. Southgate was using both Gallagher and Mainu in the opposite way. He asked Mainu and Gallagher to defend England's half. So he was not taking the game to the opposition after having a one goal lead. He was having an extremely Duracell Bunny kind of player in Gallagher and a very classy on the ball player like Mainu screen the midfield just ahead of their low block. So you can argue that he's utilizing them well, because Gallagher has a work rate and Mainu has a very developed sense of positioning for a player his age. But is that the best that they can do? Is that how best they can be utilized? And I think not. Now the third issue I have is Trent Alexander-Arnold. I have no issue with the
Oh my
player.
God.
Like, wonderful player, like wonderful, proper player, insane. Now you have Walker, who I would say is an exceptional right back, but off late he has been having issues. His positional sense is not exactly the great. He always makes up for his defensive errors with his sheer recovery through the
Recovery.
defense. Yeah, and on the ball he has limitations. So with the pace, carrying, and attacking ability, it is entirely the Walker's entire attributes lies. It's all centered around his pace. On the other hand, a player like Trent, who relies so much on his expansive passing, you have to make the field as big as possible for a player of Trent's quality, and I think that is what Klopp does very well. So when you're putting Trent on the flank in the defensive position, that is the biggest passing range he has. So from corner to corner, that Trent Robertson duo, we have seen them wreak havoc so many times. And for a player like Trent, who is not used to playing in midfield, why are you playing him in midfield, especially in that bigger tournament? So I'm not saying Trent. I know that Trent grew up in academy as a right midfielder and that, but for the last 4 years, he's been playing as one of the best right backs in world football. And you have to utilize his vision and his passing by making the field bigger for him.
I
Putting
can
him in a
I,
simply
I
does
can
not make sense.
understand. I can understand him starting Walker here, but for me, like Trent should have started as a right back, and Walker should be playing the bigger
Exactly.
games closer to the quarterfinals and semifinals, where you don't want Trent to be as a liability on the pitch. What ideally should have been the right thing is start Trent on the right and bring Gallagher and play him on the right side of the midfield so he can
Or
occupy
go
the
with
space
Mainu.
in different
Or go
leagues.
with Mainu. I would say Mainu Rice makes a perfectly good team.
Essentially, mirroring what Klopp did with Henderson and
Oh, Henderson,
Trent. So
Henderson,
basically,
exactly.
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
Trent used to move forward, Henderson used to cover up that right hand space. So yeah, you need a
but
defensive-minded midfielder if you're playing Trent at right back.
and then you can very well use Gallagher, Rice as a
Exactly,
pivot. Both are like excellent defensively, and you can make use of Trent's abilities better. So the array
exactly.
of talent at the disposal for Sir Gareth Southgate, I don't think it's been very wisely used, and that's why I said England were disappointing despite the fact that they won their match.
I think it will be an actual test to see next game how they do against Denmark. Because shout out to Christian Eriksen after what happened in the last Euros
Yeah.
to come back
Yeah.
and start this Euros with a goal. A huge mental block must be out of his head right now. So huge shout out to him.
I think
Yeah.
Denmark could have
So,
easily beaten Slovenia had they taken the
hmm,
chances.
yeah. Yeah, for me, with respect to England, right, I would say it very simply, it's like this is how I feel when I support Spurs. So I can't put it better than anything else. I feel like because I feel like every time you give more talent to Gareth Southgate, he finds different ways or different solutions to ruin everything. Like this time, I felt like he like say as he said, no, Kane, Saka, Trent. You have these array of talents, and this guy is like finding so much different ways to make them all look like they're not like good players. And even like say for example, I would even try someone like a Water next to Declan Rice. See how it because he's the only left-footed midfielder we like England has, right? So I would even try something like that. Like just when you have like resources like this, I would like expect the like Gareth Southgate to do something like that instead of like going or sticking with the same formula and expecting the same results. That is what disappointing with the England moves because as you said, I feel like England with the talent toe to toe they can match France toe to toe they can match Portugal with like the players the quality which they has. But again these managers sticking to their rigid principles, I feel like they are sort of suppressing these guys like the ability to perform. That's what I feel like England are lacking the most. So
Yeah. So before we wind down, I just want to quickly get your predictions for any possible upsets within the next couple of weeks, or
I think
any
there's a
team that you
chance
think.
France might lose to Netherlands. I mean, if you can call that an upset.
It's
uh,
football heritage, you can say.
yeah, yeah. For me, one match I'm looking forward is Turkey vs Portugal. I want to see what Portugal does against Turkey. So yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
there might be an upset there.
What about you,
I
Arvind?
feel Croatia are going to head out.
I think they're already out, if I'm not wrong. So
Yeah,
No, they could
They
if they
can
manage to
mathematically
beat
qualify.
Italy,
mathematically,
they can
yeah.
still qualify using the third spot single. So yeah,
okay.
but I
Okay,
feel they'll finish bottom of the table.
Mm,
I
exactly.
think for me, England might drop points to Denmark, in my opinion. So let's see how
Could
it
be.
goes.
Yeah.
Okay, then I think that was all that we had for the day today. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in,
Yep.
and we'll see you again soon with another week where we recap the Euro games again. Thank
A
you.
fantastic tournament so far, I must say, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No, no,
Good
no more
entertainment.
Avengers.
Pep Guardiola catching strays also. So yeah, all good.
Yeah, yeah. Proper peak Barclays entertainment, I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Then yeah, that's it from our end for now. Then thank you so much.
Thanks everyone.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you. Bye.